Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, so we are talking Turner syndrome. This week, I want to answer one of the questions that I got in a comment last week or the week before. I can't remember which. I got a comment asking about the other types of HRT and kind of specifically like what are the different types of HRT, what are the benefits, things like that. So I want to address that in today's video. I've talked about HRT multiple times before, but I don't think I've completely gone into what the various forms are. So we're going to do that today. The first form and the most common form is pills. This looks more often than not like a birth control because once you have started having a cycle, which I'll talk about in a minute, they kind of figure they can just condense all of it into that one pill that has both hormones you need, and it makes it simpler. You don't have to try to keep track of what days to take what pills, and it kind of just streamlines it after that point when the biggest goal is met. So for HRT, the biggest goal is getting your hormones to where is more normal so that you don't get the symptoms or the health problems that come with not enough of those hormones, which is basically everything that comes with menopause. So our hormones not being naturally at that level on their own, we are at a higher risk for bone density loss, which is a major concern as you're getting more closer to the age of being on regular HRT. It's going to start having that effect by that time. So being on HRT helps your bone health. It helps you have a regular cycle, which isn't required. It's not unhealthy to do a form that doesn't require you to, and there are some that don't. But basically, you have normal functioning, closer to normal functioning, as close as you can get to normal functioning with being on HRT. And if you don't know what HRT means, it's hormone replacement therapy. So it's basically medicinal therapy to replace the hormone deficit that we women or girls with Turner syndrome have. I started mine when I was 13, 12 and a half or 13, and I originally started with a regimen of 2 pills, estrogen, which was Premarin, and progesterone. Those are the 2 that you need to worry about, estrogen and progesterone. But there are different forms of estrogen. I was on Premarin, which they didn't leave me on very long because I have a family medical history of breast cancer, and Premarin is one that is known to cause that if somebody is on it too long. So already having a history, especially that being one that was what caused it a lot of the time in my family, they didn't leave me on it very long. I felt amazing on that regimen. I started having a cycle on that regimen. It just meant balancing the pills. So there was 3 weeks I took Premarin out of the cycle, and then 1 week I took progesterone, if I remember correctly. It was something like that. It was something like 3 weeks with one, 2 weeks, or 1 week with the other. Or 3 weeks of both, 1 week of just progesterone. I can't remember. But there was a schedule with both, and that was what I started with. And then as soon as I started having a cycle, they wanted me off Premarin as soon as they could. And of course, it's always easier to condense it to just 1 pill instead of multiple, or 2 even. And I got switched to a generic birth control. It worked. It did the job. On that one, I felt fine. And then I wanted to try the patch. The patch is the second form of HRT you can have. It's basically just another delivery method of those same hormones that are in the pills. But the patches each have different dosages. So with a patch, they can't give you as high of a dosage. And with the patch, it didn't work well for me. I don't believe it was a high enough dosage for me, and I had a lot of spotting, and I didn't end up having a very heavy cycle. Like, it was very irregular. So I didn't feel like it was a high enough one for me. and I felt like there was more of a physical reminder to re-up whatever I was doing with pills than with the patch. The patch you can put on you and forget about it for 2 or 3 days, maybe a week, something like that. And I just didn't have it as big in my mind because I knew that. So the pills, I know every single day. Doesn't matter, every single day. And not only did I get the right dosage for me on the pills, but I had been, at that point, I was really good with remembering. So the patch is the other one. It does not have as high of a dosage, but you can use it. And there's a lot of different variations of the patch as well. The third form that I've heard of is a shot. There is the depot shot, that is a birth control shot. You get it twice a year, once or twice a year, I think. And with that one, you don't have a cycle every single month. You have it like every 2 or 3 months. And so if you would like to go on the lighter side of having one, that is an option. I don't have experience with that one. I haven't done that one. And I don't know if that is one that you need to be careful about if you're getting the right dosage. Because of it needing to get your hormone levels to the right level, I don't know if that is one that would do it. But I know I've been told that is an option for me if I would like to try it. I'm not going to add times of having to get an injection, so I never wanted to try that one. I really wanted to try the patch and not be dependent on a pill, but that is another option where you can get the depot shot and have a lighter cycle. I've also been told that you can kind of do your own schedule with the generic birth control pills, so I've always done the once a month regular, normal monthly schedule to have a regular cycle. It was kind of important to me to feel normal in that way. It might not feel as abnormal to others, but for me, having a regular monthly cycle made me feel normal. It made me feel a little less strange or deficient. It's a horrible word, but I'm really good at playing those mind games with myself. So having a regular monthly cycle made me feel normal. And I've never minded it. I just really, really wanted to have that regular normalcy. So I had always done the regular schedule with the pills, but I actually got told by a doctor recently that if I wanted to, I could kind of just skip that week and go straight to the next hormone pills instead of taking that week off and having a cycle if I wanted to, and go down to, even with the birth control pills, only having a cycle every 2 or 3 months if I wanted to. The cycle, having a regular cycle, is not what they're most concerned about with HRT. That doesn't actually mean anything to them. It's the bone health and all of the things that start happening that are regulated by those hormone levels and the symptoms that come when you don't have that. That is what they're most concerned about. So the cycle is kind of up to you. I think it's important to kind of be open to trying different things. I think if what you're doing isn't working, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to push for something new, and really be willing to try the options that are out there, and ask if there are other options that you have never heard of or even knew were options for you. So obviously, ask your doctor about these, ask questions about how these would work for you, and really pay attention to what your body's saying when you try them. Really pay attention to how your body's reacting to what you're on right now, and see what it's saying and how it's working for you. The other questions I got about those were, is it expensive? That depends really on what form of it you go with. It can shift if you're trying different ones. What coverage you have in your insurance, most of it should be fairly well covered. But that's good questions for your doctor and your insurance for the form that you're on. Why are the pills the most common? I think that's the case because that's what we know the most about. So it's what doctors go straight to because they know how it's going to interact. For starting a cycle, they have a solid history of that helps a girl with Turner syndrome get to the point of starting a cycle. I don't know if a patch could ever be at that dosage. I don't know all of the details of these, but I think that it's really important to ask these questions, so I'm really, really glad that these questions were asked. Skin cream. I saw a question about the skin cream also. I do not know that much about the skin cream. I have heard it. I feel like it would be similar to the patch, except it sounded like maybe that it's a little more customizable. So you're able to make up for what the patch might lack. And that would be another thing I would say, try it. There's no harm in trying it. There's absolutely no harm in trying something and seeing how it works for you and really testing things out and not just going with the first thing. And I have learned that more and more as I've gotten older and dealt with different things in my health and with Turner syndrome. So I don't know a ton about the skin cream. I have heard of it. I know it's an option. I don't know the process of it or anything. It sounded like the person that commented knew more about it than I do. But definitely try it. I think it's always important to try it if you're curious about something and just see how you react to it and how your body does with it. And ask questions. Ask 1,000,001 questions if you have them. I think all of this is very tailorable and customizable to you. And that's important because TS is very individual. You're never going to find one generic thing that works with every girl with Turner syndrome. And I think doctors are learning that more and more. So that's why there's all these different forms that have come out and they're trying new things to see what other possibilities are out there and what they can try with the patients that have it. So I think as far as day to day, it depends on what form you're on, how much it'll affect your daily life. If you're on most of the pill forms that I know of, it's going to be taking something every single day. It's 5 seconds of taking your pills. In general, it's a second of taking one pill for me now because of being at that point in the process. So no, it's not fun to be dependent on a pill. No, it's not fun to have to take a pill every day and make sure I remember, but I know it's what I need to do to take care of my body. The other forms, the patch, I mean, besides making sure it doesn't fall off every day, you're not going to be changing it every day. You're going to be changing it every other or every 3 days. So that wouldn't be that bad. A shot is even less day by day because that's only 2 or 3 times a year. It wouldn't be every day. And I think the skin cream probably would be every day as well. Depends on how it's formulated and how much they think you need every day. So that would look different depending on the form you get, but in general, it's 5 seconds of the day. Obviously, if your situation is more intensive, there's other stuff that's going to come up that you're doing possibly every day, but in general, HRT is not going to be the biggest time consumption. It just really depends on what form you've done and how it is at that moment with working on figuring out what you want to do. So it is an everyday commitment for the most part, for the most common forms of it, but it's not overwhelming. You just have to remember your why you're taking it, why you're on it, why you are trying to remember and be on top of it. And that can help. That's a huge motivation when you remember why you're doing it. I hope that answered questions. I hope that gave a little more clarification. If you have any other questions at all, I love talking about HRT. I've just learned so much through conversation, so leave those in the comments below. I would love to hear them and have a conversation about it. If you enjoyed this video and it helped you in some way, give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!